We are built for this network, for the strong, not the weak.
Oscar Robertson is the best basketball player I ever played against. I mean, he had no weakness.
When I look back in my career, he's the greatest player I ever played against, period.
When you hear Michael Jordan's the best player of all time, how do you react?
I react by saying those people probably didn't see Oscar Robertson play.
Oscar Palmer Robertson. Most of you know who this legend of NBA history is. The first player to ever average a triple-double over the course of a season, and still just one of only 2 players to ever accomplish the feat. But many people nowadays struggle to grasp the skill and legacy of Oscar. Just how good was this guy? Was he just a selfish stat patter? Was he just a pretty good player who took advantage of a less advanced era? He also doesn't have many recognizably iconic highlights. All of these questions and unknowns make it difficult for many NBA fans to put his talent in perspective and figure out where he ranks among the greatest players of all time. That's where this video comes in, as we're diving into the career and evaluating the legacy of the man known as the Big O. Oscar Robertson was selected with the first overall pick in the 1960 NBA draft by the Cincinnati Royals. As a 22-year-old, Oscar was entering the NBA as one of the most pro-league ready rookies the game has ever seen. He was a 6'5" point guard with a strong build, and he knew how to use it. In his rookie campaign, Oscar took the league by storm, averaging 30.5 points, 10.1 rebounds, and 9.7 assists on 47.3% shooting in what is easily one of the greatest rookie seasons of all time. It pretty much goes without saying that he was that year's Rookie of the Year winner. Oscar's game wasn't flashy by any means. We recognize that today, but they knew it then too. There were certainly more exciting styles among his peers at the point guard position, but Oscar preferred a more patient and methodical approach, which doesn't translate to the most awe-inspiring highlights 60 years later. But it was effective, and that's what mattered. Many times, Oscar would simply back down his opponents and score from the post, using his IQ and his reliable jump shot. Scoring was just one of his many gifts, though. Another area he dominated was on the boards, as he used his anticipation and low center of gravity to secure his high rebounding numbers. Oscar's rebounding is a skill of his that I don't think he gets enough credit for, and there's several reasons for this. For one, in recent videos on this channel, we've talked about how rebounding numbers were inflated in the 1960s. The pace of play was faster at the time, which meant more shot attempts, and more shot attempts equals more rebounds. Not only that, but the league as a whole didn't shoot as efficiently back then, which means even more rebounds. That's why there were usually a handful of players averaging near 20 rebounds per game in that era. With that being said, you'd still be wrong to simply disregard Oscar's elite rebounding abilities, because although it was normal for players to get incredibly high rebounding numbers in that era, it wasn't normal for players like Oscar. In each of his first 5 seasons in the league, Oscar finished in the top 20 of rebounds per game leaders, ranking as high as 9th place overall. In each of those 5 seasons, Oscar was the only guard to finish in the top 20 in rebounds. With the game played more around the interior in those days, the rebounding department was dominated almost exclusively by all the big centers and forwards, but Oscar was the anomaly. And of course, we can't leave out his playmaking abilities, as he had great court vision, was a fantastic passer, and was constantly among the league leaders in assists. By only his sophomore season, Oscar was ready to have the year that would make him famous for decades to come, as he put up triple-double averages of 30.8 points, 12.5 rebounds, and 11.4 assists on 47.8% shooting, leading the Royals to their first winning season in 8 years. This iconic achievement made him a legend, as he was the only person to ever achieve the feat up until Russell Westbrook did it in 2017. But the craziest part is his triple-double achievement is actually so much better than people realize. Technically, 1962 was the only single season of his career where he averaged a triple-double, but he came very close to doing it several times. Some years, his assists would be well over 10, but the rebounds would be well below 10. And some years, the assists would be below 10, and the rebounds would be well over 10. Over the course of his first 5 seasons of his career, he averaged 30.3 points, 10.6 assists, and 10.4 rebounds on 48.6% shooting. That is ridiculous. So although he's famous for averaging a triple-double for a season, in reality, he averaged a triple-double for 5 seasons. Despite his constant incredible play, when it came to the playoffs, the Royals were constantly being eliminated at the hands of the far more talented Boston Celtics and Philadelphia 76ers. This ongoing theme of putting up monstrous numbers just to lose in the playoffs started to build some negative narratives about Oscar as a player, whether they were deserved or not. Some were starting to say that he had a selfish style, and that he was too ball dominant, and that he needed to be more comfortable in a free-flowing offense where he isn't calling all the shots. Although he remained extremely productive for years, with all of these narratives and stigmas going on, and with plenty of tension in the locker room for a number of reasons, the relationship between him and the Royals began to sour, and eventually he was traded to the Milwaukee Bucks. At this point, this was basically the best thing that could have happened to an aging Oscar Robertson, because after being with a mediocre supporting cast for years, in Milwaukee, he would be joining a young and dominant Lou Alcindor, before he became Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. The combination of the 23-year-old Lou Alcindor in the interior and the 32-year-old Oscar orchestrating from the perimeter was a tandem that was ready to dominate the basketball world, and that's exactly what they did. At one point, the Bucks won 20 straight games, which was an NBA record at the time. They finished the regular season with a 66-16 record, while bolstering the league's best offense and the best defense. Although Oscar's numbers had significantly dipped now that he was sharing the floor with Alcindor, it was a sacrifice he was more than happy to make in order to win, and they kept doing that into the postseason. They crushed the Warriors in 5 games, crushed the Lakers in 5 games, and then swept the Baltimore Bullets in the NBA Finals, with Oscar putting up 23, 9, and 5 on 52% shooting. He had finally won that elusive championship, cementing his already impressive NBA legacy. Looking at the totality of his career, he made 11 All-NBA teams, he was a 12-time All-Star, he's 12th on the all-time scoring list, 6th all-time in assists, and 75th in rebounds, and he was the 1964 League MVP. When it comes to the respect he gets among his contemporaries, it was basically as high as it gets, but amongst the community of NBA fans, he's not quite appreciated to the same extent, and that's a tragedy. He might not have the flashiest game, he might not be dunking from the free throw line, but at the end of the day, he got it done. Let me know in the comments section if Oscar Robertson cracks your list of the 10 greatest players of all time. Thanks for watching as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more basketball content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
It's your boy D Greatest from South Central. Tune in on Sunday for Sunday Night Love Jones, 4 o'clock, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and on Mondays for Monday Night Love Jones, 4 o'clock, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time for good music, good conversation, and good vibes. It's all about the love. Yeah, man.
Yo, it's your man HRap coming at you live and direct as usual. It's Tuesday. It is built for this network. This is a podcast called The End of the Bench. Thank you for tuning in. It's been a pleasure coming to you for all this time, and here we are, another installment of The End of the Bench podcast. It's going to be interesting this week, man. They got a lot to talk about as usual. The stage has been set. For the background listeners, thank you for tuning in. For everybody in the chat room, thank you for tuning in. It's been real. It's gonna be real. I got a whole lot to talk about. I got a little help this week again. I got the band back together again. My main man Joe from Houston is in the building. What's good, Joe?
Yo, what's the deal?
And later on, the employee of the month. Later on in the employee of the month, gonna be on Captain, I ain't a player, I just hate a lot, aka Big Illinois. And y'all know how I start each show off. I pay homage to my ancestors. So I may as well get that out the way right now. I want to salute to people in my family because without my ancestors, there would be no me. I want to salute the people in my family connected to the last name Whitmore, Pollard, Turner, Battle, Cotton, Harper, Bailey, Chris, Lansdowne, Lakins, Duncan, and you already know me and my pops, my brothers and my sisters on the Williams clan. We are in the building. Thank you for being here. And the McGee's.
Hey, first things first. HRap. I know this is a sports show. I know that, we don't talk about our sports, knowledge and all of that. But I've got to say, first things first, since he's not a sports figure, but the sports figures love him, I do want to say a rest in peace to Chadwick Boseman. We know him as Black Panther. We know him as Jackie Robinson. We know him as James Brown. Rest in peace, brother.
Rest in peace to the great Chadwick Boseman. I know I was gonna drop some science on Chadwick as well, man. Chadwick Boseman is a test. Actually, I was gonna tie that into later, but he's a testament to HBCUs. To be perfectly honest with you, I believe that he is an example of why we should go to HBCUs. Think about how many. Like when you look at sports, some of the greatest people in history of all sports have come from HBCU. You're talking about Deacon Jones. You're talking about Walter Payton. You talk about Jerry Rice, Steve McNair, Doug Williams. I mean, it is a testament. He's from Howard, Martin King, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. You talk about Viola Davis. You talk about Samuel Jackson, Spike Lee. So I was gonna bring it up in that context of, hey, look at it's not even just regular, people who we consider they are regular people. I'm not gonna say that they're different from us, but we hold them in high esteem, and that's just another reason to go to HBCUs if you ask me. So yeah, big ups to Chadwick Boseman, man. It is it was an awesome pleasure to have him as part of our community, celebrate us and things of that nature. And he's going to be greatly missed. He's going to be greatly missed. And it's tough, man. I know it's tough. And his intestinal fortitude is awesome, man. Some of the movies that you named, he filmed after being diagnosed
with stage 4 colon cancer.
Yeah.
That shows the strength in him. It shows the humility in him. It shows that the people in his corner got his back.
Yeah.
For 4 years, this has been under wraps. It came out the day that it happened, and everybody looked back like, whoa. Yeah. But everybody close to him was probably like, yeah, this was coming from some time.
Yeah. I mean, being a person who was dealing with somebody who lost the fight against cancer, you never really say they're gonna die. You don't even think about it because there has been miracle situations, there has been miraculous turnaround. So, anybody is capable of anything at that point. So you really never say, hey man, it's over, because I'm a personal believer in a lot, even though cancer is a physical thing, a lot of what you deal with is mental. So like I said, being a person who's dealt with that from a relative and dealt with my mom fighting that to the very end, I'm be honest with you, I never said, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna be 100 with you. 1 month to the day before I took her to the hospital the very last time was the first time I even considered her dying. Me and her had a conversation, and she said, you know what, this might take me out. I'm not giving up, but I just thought about it today, it may take me out. And I said, yeah, I thought about it today too. And that was the only time in all the time that me and her were together while